All right, I'm just waking up after having to sleep in and stay up late for the Severance finale a few days ago, but I'm fired up, ready to talk about some more movies and TV shows. How you doing, Bell?
Doing great. It's been awesome the last, geez, now week. Just seeing all the stuff coming out and just the praise that it, pretty much universally is getting.
Yeah.
I feel like it's 98% positive and a few kind of maybe haters or people out there. But for the most part, people are still kind of, that's the number one thing they're talking about.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been like the topic of conversation since we've done it. So that was fun doing that podcast with you.
That was
That was late.
awesome.
That was a late night for me. Late night for you, especially.
More
Really.
so for me, more so for me than you, for sure.
Yeah, that
But
was like a 12 o'clock night, and but I had fun. I had fun staying up, watching the finale, talking with you about it, posting that. Got a bunch of people interacting with the posts that we've been doing and liking, which is fun. I mean, like I've always said, we do the podcast for me and you because these are conversations that we would have anyways, and it's because we're both podcast guys. It's fun to put something out there for people that enjoy this sort of thing to listen to too. So all good stuff.
but there's not many moments like this anymore. You know what I mean? Like must see, like the HBO Sunday night 9 o'clock lineup I used to have. There's not much like many shows that you have to watch in real time. And
Mhm.
it was interesting because it was obviously on a streamer. You and I both at 9 o'clock were ready to go, and it wasn't there yet. We were wondering if we were missing something.
Well, it said and I sent you a picture. It
yeah,
said that it was airing on the Friday. And
yeah,
I'm like, why does it say that on the screen? Like, because I've never watched any of the episodes. I mean, I watched a few of the episodes
yeah,
right at 9, but I never was like in such anticipation that
yeah.
I was there waiting for the screen to go from waiting to live. And I never noticed the day that it would say it started. So it said it was starting on Friday and just didn't make any sense. But it came on and we watched it and it was freaking awesome.
And it's been fun again, like watching like the cast and their reactions and all that kind of stuff. Did you see that video of Milchek over the weekend at a some kind of film
They had a
festival?
panel
And he
in
goes,
California and
yeah,
he came in leading the band. He's the man.
that was awesome. People are riding high. So
He has to be in stuff now, right? Like, can they cast him as the new Black Panther or something like that in Marvel? Or like
he's
he needs to be in something.
he's riding high. He's
Yep.
riding high right now. So
So
go
I want to continue the Severance talk for
yeah,
a second, but I want to talk about some podcast business at this point.
yeah.
Been saying this for a little bit, doing a bunch of different podcasts every week. Me and you are doing the Rewatchables pod, movies and TV shows. I do my interview pods. I had an interview with Severance, if you're listening to this, that came out yesterday. One with James McGuire, who opened up the Pickler last week. So if you want an interview pod, check those out. Me and Chris are going to be doing a baseball preview, believe it or not, Matt. I know maybe this much about baseball, but we're going to be talking baseball in the cheap seats next week. And then after that, we get some mortgage stuff coming out the week after. So anyways, if you're listening to this, know that we have different podcasts coming out every week. And if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to the podcast, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. And if you see a post on social media, like it, comment. If you see it on YouTube, like, comment, all that stuff. I think it would be super helpful as we just try to get more eyes on our fun, silly little conversation. So is that fair enough?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I can't wait for you to name one other Red Sox besides Rafael Devers on
Bergman.
Bergman, yeah.
Bergman?
Because of the podcast last time, you guys were talking about him.
Big Bergman guy.
That you like be wearing the Bergman jersey this year to all the Sox games. So
I'm actually going to opening day, believe it
no
or not.
way.
I was given some tickets and I'm going with 3 buddies and I'll throw my Pedroia jersey on and looking forward to it. It's going to be cold. I mean, we've been to opening day before. It can be cold this time of year, but it's going to be fun.
Regardless of how they are, it's actually, listen to Beds and other people, they're expecting to do good. There's nothing like Fenway Park. It's just awesome going to Fenway and just hanging out and watching a game and it's just a great time. So
Yeah, love it. So, okay. So that's the podcast business I want to talk about. Severance, closing the loop on that for the year.
Yep.
We obviously loved it. You said, I think 99% of people loved it. You know
Mhm.
who the one person that didn't like it that I was surprised? Joanna Robinson.
Yep.
I was like, what?
Her and Rob were both lukewarm on it.
I
And
thought
then I guess
Rob was maybe more
yeah.
pro the episode, but he was trying to match her thoughts. Maybe I don't know. That was just my opinion, but I was surprised. That's a person that I really turn to for a lot of TV opinions, and she just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, she's the best. She said she liked it better the second time.
Yeah.
So, and maybe I haven't listened to their mailbag or something like that, but I bet you they got a lot of feedback, surprise about that. But hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And is it perfect? Was it perfect? No, but still an awesome episode of TV. So
I want to talk about a theory that I heard,
mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you have too. And this is the one that kind of sticks out to me the most out of all the things that are potentially could have happened in that finale. And feel free to add anything you want afterwards. But it's interesting to think about the idea that Helly was not Helly in that last episode and that she was Helena.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
All right, if you've been enjoying the podcast, I wanted to let you know that I am a residential loan officer with CMG Home Loans. If you or anyone you know is looking to buy a home or refinance, please let me know and I'd be happy to help. My contact information is in the description below. Back to the podcast.
I hope that's not the case, because I look at moments during it, and if it was, so it would be when she got off the elevator and hugged Mark, and then they both admired that picture, that the painting, right?
Great
That from
film.
that moment on,
Yeah.
saying it was Helena, not Helly.
Mm-hmm.
So there were just too many moments throughout the episode that Helena would have to be the greatest actress in the whole
And she's not.
world. What?
She's not, and she was awkward the first time. Or like in that first episode of the season, I could tell that it
You
wasn't
could tell.
her. You know, so like for her to have that whole conversation, which in the moment I very much liked it, and I like it even more as the, you know, see at the equator, that whole conversation, like that's not a Helena conversation to have.
That she said her dad was there. So why would she say that? You know what I mean? To Mark S. Like that wasn't like relevant, or
she would have kept that.
Like why?
Yeah.
Her literally getting teary-eyed when she's talking to him about going forward with Cold Harbor. That, and then the speech and keeping Milchek in the bathroom just doesn't add up. So I have seen that theory too. I'm hoping that's not the case, because then if that's the case, it's like you're just constantly going to be questioning everything anytime you see these characters. And I think that's a slippery slope to go down.
Yeah. So I think the creator of the show has actually debunked it.
Okay, good.
Well, so that's not, I guess, what happened. And I don't have the exact source on where he might have said that or what interview, but I did read someplace that he debunked that. But it is like a thing that I've seen a lot on threads or, you know, any type of online message board type stuff that I've seen. So I figured I'd bring it up for now. Is there any other lingering theories that seem like they're, I mean, that's the biggest one for me.
Not so much theories as it is, I think, a little bit of confirmation, and then I have a couple questions. So Cold Harbor, get a little bit more insight into what Cold Harbor kind of is.
Good, because I need it.
Okay, did you, I don't know if you heard this stuff.
I just think it's like a super vague thing that like, I don't 100% understand, but I mean, I'm always open to discussing.
Doesn't track, like, supposedly Cold Harbor was the name of the brand that was the crib.
Yeah.
That Mark was putting together, you know, when she was pregnant before the miscarriage and that sort of stuff. How would Lumen know that? I don't know. How would they know the brand of crib they bought? And why would they call it that? Or maybe they just took a shot in the dark. That's fine. But the biggest thing, I guess, was they did the crib thing because they thought it was like one of her most traumatic memories. That if it held, it meaning like she didn't come back or recognize the crib or any of that kind of stuff, that means Severance was really working and it could really withstand anything. Now that we've had a couple days to digest, is that your understanding or your thoughts about it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, and I think the doctor guy,
Beast?
what's his name? Maurer?
Beast? I just call him the Beast now.
Every time Mayor Maurer. Anyways, he said something about the barriers holding, and I think that is true. But she's not the one that had the thing with the crib. Mark was the one. You know, like, so it's not like she had the moment with the crib. Mark had the moment with the crib. So is it the whole idea of having a baby and miscarrying and all that stuff, and the crib represents that? Like, that's the thing that the barrier has to hold against. But if it's the crib itself, again, that wasn't her memory.
So that's a whole. And the other thing is, too, is wouldn't you think Miss Casey seeing Mark S. or
would be a bigger one?
Would be, you know?
That's the biggest barrier right there, is seeing your actual husband. And if the severance process holds through that, then, like, isn't that probably a pretty good sign?
So, yeah. So, again, we're poking holes for fun because this is what we love doing and love, like, having the conversation about and stuff. And we love it. So it comes from a place of love. But these are all just, like, kind of questions that I kind of had for that. So that was kind of anything else about Cold Harbor?
No, I don't know that we're ever going to get more on the mechanics of it, which is maybe fine. But it's been a fun thing it's like what's in the hatch kind of thing. It's like something that it's been lingering throughout the season, like what's Cold Harbor, what's Cold Harbor. The explanation that we got it wasn't something I was upset about. It's just still not 100% clear for me. And maybe that's the way it always ends up being, because I think we're kind of moving on from Cold Harbor next year.
Yeah, the Cold Harbor is probably behind us now. So another question I have.
Sure.
Okay. The numbers. And they're putting the numbers in the bin. So we knew Mark was doing that and doing all the personalities, but were all the other refiners doing numbers for Gemma too?
It's a great freaking question. I thought about this too. Do they have their own Gemmas someplace? Like, it wouldn't make sense for them to do anything related to Gemma. Are they just doing fake numbers just to be there to support Mark? Because they feel like only way Mark does this, or anyone would do what he needs to do, is if other people are around him also doing it, to kind of create this community of people, as opposed to him just being in a room by himself doing the numbers all the time. He'd probably lose his innie mind. I don't know.
So because remember when they were teaching Helly in season 1, and they did say like it's a feeling, and you just kind of know, and then she kind of had that moment and like felt something, and then kind of put the numbers. So I don't know if we'll ever know about, because they're never going back to the refiner. You know what I mean? That part is done. You know what I mean? So just a question I had. Yep. So
love it. Any other thoughts? Because I have a question for you.
One other thing, you posted this, and I haven't seen it. I just want you to dive in a little bit more. You posted something about the goats, and Ben Stiller confirmed or something. Tell me this goat theory thing.
No, I don't think Ben Stiller confirmed anything.
Oh, okay.
It was something about the idea of people being like severed into goats. Like Rickon is a goat or something like that. That like the goat consciousness gets put onto Rickon, and that's why he's such a weird dude. I think it was a joke theory, but I didn't think, and I posted that before the finale, I didn't think the goats were going to just be a sacrifice, and it sounds like that's what they are. Like, they have the goats just to sacrifice them to Kier, which is freaking weird shit. But I thought maybe there was something different,
My theory was cloning. You know what I mean? They were cloning, and that kind of just is. It seems like the goats are there to sacrifice. A
lot of people thought Miss Casey was a clone, or Gemma, or whatever way you want to refer to her as. It seems like the cloning stuff's out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are kind of the lingering questions, and then go ahead with your. I know you said you had one final question for me in this regard.
I just wanted to ask you, like, when you think back of the season as a whole, what is your favorite episode?
Me, and you're gonna but mine. I mean, minus the finale. Okay, a finale doesn't count. I think the finale is on its own.
I actually think it does. Okay, and it's my favorite too. But I'm a guy that tends to like finales. Like, I almost judge seasons of TV shows based on their, like, there could be a mediocre season of a TV show that has a really good finale, and like that will leave a really big impression on me. And oftentimes those are my favorite. But I would say this episode is my favorite. But I guess outside of that, what's your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, it's 76 minutes. It just felt bigger. It felt like a bigger production than all the other episodes. So it's tough to measure up. But to me, it was the retreat. I just loved the retreat. I loved the change of scenery. I love the weirdness.
You love the weird ones.
I love the weird ones. International Assassin is my favorite. My favorite Leftovers episode. But in Lost, it's not the Pablo and what's her name episode. That one's not my favorite in Lost. If you know what I'm talking about. Guys. But I loved it because it was just such out of the element. The like replicas of them like pointing at different areas. Getting the background of like Kier. And I loved it. It was so weird and out there. And then the way Irving at the end says Seth or whatever, it's like sticks with me, and just an incredible episode.
That episode's called Woe's Hollow.
Yep.
And it's episode 4, definitely a memorable one for the season. So like it's hard to complain with that. I mean, I guess maybe you didn't like, if someone wouldn't like it because it is weird and it is such a different tone from the other episodes, but I did think it was great. It moved the story forward. It had a ton of questions that came out of it, and it was just a really well shot episode. For me, I'm a Chikai Bardo guy. That's the one. That's the Gemma episode. You get the background on Gemma and Mark. It reminds me of The Constant, and well, I'm gonna keep referring back to Lost because I think this is the show that I probably have liked, the most since then. Rob Mahoney said something on the podcast about it, like it really always comes down with these shows, and when you really invest in a show, like it really comes down to the characters. Like I definitely like the sci-fi elements and the story concepts, and that's kind of what draws me to a show to begin with. But like the thing that makes it makes it go from like, oh, I really like this show to like, I love this show and it's one of my all-time favorites is the characters, you know. And I think Shikai Bardo just gave a different point of view on those characters. And I am team Mark and Gemma now. I think I still am. I maybe am not. I don't know. You know, I'm kind of, the whole Helly and Mark-esque thing is growing on me a little bit, but I definitely never would have thought before that episode that I'd be in on Mark and Gemma's relationship. So it was a good one.
And I forget her name, the actress that plays her. She's kind of having like a moment now and doing like a victory lap because of how good. But talk, being sidelined essentially completely for a season and a half, and then to come in strong. And then for that episode? Did you see that report that the shot with the cords, like it was like from the computer to the cords, and then it went to Gemma.
Yeah. Yep,
you know what I'm talking about?
I thought you said quartz. My mind went to pickleball courts, but that's cords.
Cords, like the computer. Yeah. That was a real shot. Like that wasn't CGI. Like that was 100%. There was no CGI in that episode. It was like somehow they had like a camera on a wire pulling it.
They pulled it through.
Yeah, the director, I forget her name of that episode, but just was feeling it and just an incredible shot. And that would be my second favorite episode.
Yeah.
So
I like that. And so I'd probably take that. So do you want to put a bow on Severance for now?
Yeah, that's it. Anxious to see. Did officially, I don't know, no brainer of the century, but officially got renewed for season 3 last week. So
I think Tim Cook tweeted with Stiller about it. Like that was kind of how that came about. So
quick side note, did you see that report that Apple has lost $1 billion?
Yeah, dude, I don't love that stuff. I listened to The Town podcast with Matt Bellamy. Mm-hmm. Bellamy?
Yeah, Bellamy, yeah.
He was talking about what Apple's like plan is. What are they trying to do in the business? And it's like, they kind of have that HBO role where they're just doing really curated, high quality stuff, but they don't have like the library of movies or TV shows to bring them up to, the viewership of Netflix or some of the bigger streamers. And it concerns me that they lose so much money. They obviously are the biggest company in the world and they make plenty of money off everything they do, but you don't think that companies want to hold on to divisions of that company that are losing that kind of money. So hopefully they keep grinding through and become profitable or whatever, because they have some of my favorite TV shows, dude. It's not just Severance. Like there's a lot of great TV shows on Apple TV.
No, absolutely. So they spend a lot of money. That's the thing, is their casting is ridiculous. They spend a ton of money on their shows. So, Ted Lasso's coming back, but it's the most affordable streamer. It's like $8 a month.
Yeah.
Or something. So anyway.
Yeah, it's not bad. And for all of the shows, they have great sci-fi shows.
You love Silo and
Silo, Foundation. There's a whole bunch of them, but they also have, like you said, Ted Lasso's, and they have that the show The Studio, which I want to start watching with Seth Rogen, and Morning Show. Like it's, dude, big time actors. It's a great service.
Yeah, absolutely. So all right, so that's good with Apple TV and Severance.
Okay,
2026, I heard. Well, end of 2026 maybe
for Severance.
Yeah.
So just get to work, dude. It can't be another 3 years. I can't believe it's 3 years. 3 freaking years. Think about where we were 3 years ago. And
they have it mapped out, though. I think so. I think the writing is already like kind of underway. Maybe they'll start production at the end of the year, hopefully.
Yep. All right, dude. I'll be ready for it. Do you want to jump into things that we've been watching? It's been a lighter few weeks, but I do have something. You have some things, and then you can go there. And I do want to say, anyone that's still listening at this point, after 20 minutes of more Severance talk, we are going to do a little fun summer movie preview after what we've been watching. So we'll get to that in a few.
Sounds good. Yeah, I didn't go through this kind of fairly quick because a majority of the stuff I'm still watching, and the only thing that I completed that I love that I will spend 30 seconds on, because there's no one in my world who watches this show but me. But
I already know what it is.
It's Invincible on Amazon Prime, the animated superhero show.
Big cartoon guy.
Yeah, and if anyone that watches it for 5 minutes knows this is not a cartoon for kids. It's extremely graphic, vulgar, great storyline. They just finished season 3. If you're a Rotten Tomatoes person, the finale got 100%. It's got like a 98% rating. Lights, camera, barstool guys rave about it every single week on what they're watching. It's got a couple more seasons left. Great cast. Give it a shot.
A couple more seasons left.
I think it's going to 5 seasons to tell the complete story of the comic book series. Okay. So, yeah, that's it. We've talked about it a million times. I just got to put it out there. So,
I always feel bad like not having anything to contribute to that conversation.
No one
I know how passionate you are about it. Like you sincerely love this show, and it's like I'm just like, dude, add it to my freaking list, but you know.
Yeah, it's such an easy watch, but yeah, no one. I'm gonna post about it later, and I'm gonna dare anybody to like comment. Do you even know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
I
You
know.
know?
I
So,
know. Well, at least I know what you're talking about, and I did
Yeah.
watch the first episode.
it's The Boys animated, basically.
Yeah.
It's essentially what it is.
Yep.
So,
Which is one of our favorites.
yeah.
Do you want me to just jump into
Go
what I
ahead.
watched?
I know what you're gonna talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's actually my surprise favorite show of the year outside of Severance. It's kind of a different world, different quality level, different everything, but it's the show Paradise on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you haven't started watching it,
Mhm.
and I don't know what you know about it, but I'm not going to find out on this podcast what you know and do not know. I will just say it has a great concept to it. There's some great like storytelling, some surprises. It's shot very well. What's his name is in it? Let's see. It's Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling
Is
K.
it?
Brown. Yep.
What's he in again?
He was in what? This Is Us.
This Is Us. Yeah,
And,
okay.
yeah, he was in Black Panther cameo in that. He's been around. He's the man.
And then also James Marsden's in it.
Yeah, Cyclops.
Cyclops.
Yeah,
Cyclops.
Cyclops.
I gotta tell you, man, because I'm actually watching the show a second time with Tara. So this is a show to me that is like a show that I would watch on my own. Like I don't think Tara doesn't have any interest in this, but like we talked to more and more people. Like, gotta watch Paradise. And I told Tara I was watching. She's like, I want to watch that. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, I'll watch it with you. So, anyways, I'm watching it a second time, and James Marsden's the freaking man.
Yeah.
Like I don't know him personally. I don't know really anything about him outside of the many shows that I've seen him in, but he just seems like a cool dude to hang out with, and he plays the president in the show, and I won't go into any more detail besides that, but he's awesome.
Is it a sci-fi show?
Kinda.
Okay. All right. That's what. And same thing. Like Heather, she was on board with it. It was between that and another show, which we'll talk. So I think we'll get around to it. And I've heard from people just like reading online that it starts off hot.
Mhm.
Like the first episode or two is like incredible.
The first episode is very good.
Yeah.
And again, I'm on episode 5 the second time around, and I think back to what you were maybe going to say it. You said like the first 2 episodes, you heard the first 2 episodes are good, and then the next ones are not. I've actually thought every freaking episode is awesome. You know, and I watched the end of the 5th episode last night, and the way it ended, I'm like, damn, that was a great episode. And I know that what's in the next episode is great. And then I will say, episode 7, I don't want to put it too high on a pedestal, but it's probably one of my favorite episodes of TV that I've seen the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Like it is from beginning to end incredible. Like story, special effects, characters, you know, dude, freaking A+ TV show.
Great cast. Yeah, I'm on board. So that will be one hoping we'll get to. But then you look at the spring lineup and everything that's coming out in the spring. It's be tough, but looking forward to it.
Yes, I will say when you're watching this, like when I'm watching it again with Tara, you know, compared to Severance, it's just like the quality level is different. You know, like not to say the acting's bad or whatever, and it's shot well, and special effects are great, and it's like the world is believable, but it's like Severance is a tough bar to match.
Yeah.
With any show that we're going to be watching.
Yep.
The rest of this year. So, anyways, highly recommend it to you and to anyone that would still be listening at this point.
Awesome.
How about you? What else you got going on?
White Lotus, my man. White Lotus. Absolutely loving this season.
Absolutely
loving it. Loving
Dude,
it.
everything I see online is that it's just not living up to the first 2, which bums me out because me and Tara love White Lotus, and that's like the next thing we will watch.
I couldn't disagree. I love it. I mean, I have loved all the seasons. This is like a show where at 9:00 on Sunday night we're watching like live.
Okay.
I really enjoy it so much. There's been some absolutely wild things that have happened this season. The cast is incredible. I like all of the storylines. I mean, maybe it's a little slow at points, but the show is not an action show. The show is a conversation show and a relationship show. And the writing is just so good that it's just people talking in a room, but it's just really well done. So they have 2 episodes to go. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But the formula that Mike White created, it's going to go on forever. You know, other people try to copy it and stuff like that, but it's
White Lotus is still in business in a couple seasons. Like it seems like a lot of weird stuff happens to White Lotus.
Yeah, a lot of weird things happen to the White Lotus properties.
Yeah,
So,
like are they going to survive all the murders that happen on their properties?
It's true. Definitely a lot of lawsuits against them. There's no question about it. But for him, he's like, it's like this show can go on forever because he always does a great job casting, got a good concept, and it's just rich people doing rich things in a beautiful place, and someone dies. And it's the formula is great, you know?
So do you recognize the name Walter Goggins?
Oh yeah, that's your guy from Fallout. He's been in everything. He's been
in a lot of things.
everything.
He's a little bit of that guy, but I know he's having a moment in this season of the White Lotus, and he was awesome in Fallout. And I know you'll never watch it.
I will be watching that before season 2. That is right up my alley. So
so
he's in Invincible. He's
all right.
He's the main character, voice actor in Invincible too. So
Mr. What's his name?
yeah, he's the like head of the CIA guy or whatever.
Oh.
He's not the main superhero, but he's he's in the show. So
love it. Yeah. So anyways, he's the man. I was just thinking like, oh hey, maybe we should do another one of our Severance type podcasts after White Lotus, not necessarily a night of, but I don't know that I'll finish in the next couple of weeks.
Have you even started?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there's no way in hell.
We have 3 more episodes of Paradise, and then I would really have to.
You'd have to be by next Sunday.
To go on a run. What is it, 6 episodes or 8?
9.
Okay.
9 episodes this season.
Yeah, it's a lot. Don't know if that's possible.
There's no way.
But maybe we do something White Lotus. I mean, it seems like if I think of the shows that are going on right now, if there was any show that we were going to do like a episode focused on the finale, it would be something like the White Lotus. It'd be a little bit different than the other ones we did. I mean, we really only done the Severance finale and then a Penguin season long deep dive, but I did like those episodes that were specific on one thing. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%. I would do that again in a heartbeat if you get caught up, which would be one of your more impressive feats I can think of probably since the 1998 Biddeford football season. So that's
I'm due. I mean, it's been 30 years, 25 years.
You're due. But he just does a good job of picking these like that guy. I don't want to say B characters, but there was a joke on The Ringer and stuff about like he must look at like best supporting actor nominations through the years and just cast like a bunch of them because they crush it. It's such a good cast. So anyway,
love it. Glad you brought it up. Is there anything else that you have watched that you want to talk about?
There's 2 more things that I'm currently watching that I just want to give shout out to really quick. Okay. If that's okay. One is The Pitt, which I've talked about. HBO show. It's ER meets 24 essentially. So there's a lot of episodes. I think it's like 14 or 15 episodes, but every episode is 1 hour.
Big of a season. Huh?
Yeah, it is. It's really good though. Every episode is 1 hour of a day in the emergency room in the Pittsburgh hospital, led by Noah Wyle, famous from ER, and then the rest of the cast. You maybe see a few recognizable people, but it's just a really, really solid medical drama show. And I got a lot of people talk, I've seen talk about it, and that's what got my attention, and we're into that. So
it seems to be, on the social media that I'm on, it seems to be, outside of Severance, like the next biggest show that I see people commenting about. And I see, all kinds of different kind of comments that I don't focus on because I don't want to be spoiled. Maybe we'll watch it. It sounds like it could be kind of a hard watch from an emotional point of view, or
emotional point of view. If you don't like squeamish, like medical, stuff happening and people coming in with like tough injuries and stuff, but he's getting Emmy buzz and good for Noah Wyle. If that can get nominated, I'm
fascinated by the 24 part of the show. The fact that each episode represents an hour. Shows don't really do that much.
No.
And I think it's an interesting little way to do a show.
So we were a few episodes into that, and then we put that on pause because we had to jump on something else that was just been blowing up in my timeline in my world lately. Have you heard of this show, Adolescents, on Netflix?
Yeah. I don't know if I will get to that one, but I know it's a big topic of conversation.
Incredible. We're 2 episodes in.
Was there 4 episodes?
Only 4 episodes. That's why we did it. It's only 4 episodes. Incredible show, but why it's incredible? Do you know like how it was filmed?
1 shot, 1 take?
1 shot, 1 take
per
each
episode. Which is freaking crazy.
Insane. Like literally not 1 cut.
1 break.
It's an hour-long episode.
Is it meant to represent 1 shot, or it actually so for example, the movie 1918, if you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about, 1918? It was a war movie.
Yep.
Okay.
The Christopher Nolan. No, not Christopher Nolan. Not that was Dunkirk. But yeah, no, 1970.
Anyways, that was a 1 shot movie, kind of, right? But obviously, it wasn't filmed in freaking 1 shot. But like, that's the way it's meant to look. Was this actually filmed in 1 shot, or was it meant to look that way? And there are cuts in different spots.
From what I've read and everything it looks like I've seen, it is all done in 1 shot.
Which doesn't even make any sense. It's
how
crazy.
They practiced for days. from the acting and the choreography of it, because all of it has to happen. There's even moments in the episode where like someone will like kind of cough or like repeat a line almost, and it
Mhm.
kind of sounds like it's like
They messed
them
up.
keeping it going. You know what I mean? Like a slight mess up, but it's the concept is really interesting. It's basically they go to a 13-year-old boy's house. He's accused of killing a classmate of his. You don't know if he did or didn't do it or that kind of stuff. But it's all one shot, and how they get from point A to point B is basically people kind of coming in and coming out of the room. So it's also real time.
And they follow people in and out and move to other people. And
Like if I'm having a conversation with you and I walk out of the room and I walk by someone else, the camera would walk with me and then pick up the other person,
yeah,
and then that would lead to the other conversation. So just from a cool filming standpoint, it's almost just a must watch just because it's so unique
Yep.
in how it was done.
that's great. Now I've heard about it, and I heard, I did hear like if you have boys, you specifically should watch this show. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff applies to girls too. I know like a phone, there's a big phone component to it.
Yeah, I'm not quite at that point yet, but I saw that too. You know, it's takes place in Britain. Yeah, just really, I mean, it's kind of I've seen everyone talk about it. So
Love it. Yeah, it's definitely another thing I've seen all over social media as well.
yeah,
So
and then I mean that's probably that's good.
those are the things that we watched. So before we get to the summer movie preview, I want to talk about something that we both texted each other about last night. Ideally would have watched it, but me and you are going to see a live recording of the Rewatchables podcast with Bill Simmons and his whole gang. The Rehashables name is a play off the Rewatchables because we're obviously big fans of this, and Bill Simmons. Rewatchables is a podcast where they break down different movies. They've done 300-400 at this point.
Yep.
They're doing a live recording of this at the House of Blues in Boston Thursday night, the day actually this podcast posts, and they're doing it on Good Will Hunting, Boston Classic. So I know you started it the other night. I don't know if you got it
like 75% through it right now.
75% through, and I am like 10 minutes through, and I won't finish it before, but I remember the movie really well, and when they talk about it, I'll totally be able to follow everything they say. But what are your thoughts on Good Will Hunting?
If you can, because I put this on my list too, so I'm glad you brought it up. If you can somehow chip away at it before tomorrow night, or we'll just have it in the car on the iPad, which actually might not be a terrible idea, but I've seen it only one time 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And it just blows my mind. And the three things that just blow my mind from the movie, obviously how young Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are. And how
I know what one of them's going to be.
What?
I know what one of them's going to be. Your boy Robin Williams.
Robin Williams is so freaking good in this movie.
He's awesome.
Like,
he's awesome.
He's so good. And I miss that guy. Yeah. And that run that he had in the 90s, he was just so good at walking that line between funny and serious. And it's so weird to say, but his eyes, like his acting and his eyes in this movie, has a big bushy beard.
Yeah.
Ended up winning Best Supporting Actor, gave one of the more memorable speeches in Oscar history, which I will be watching that. And I'll be watching Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's before tomorrow too, because their speech when they won for Best Original Screenplay was a big deal. But Robin Williams is just so good, and I just like, man, that guy had a run, and I missed him. So watching that was awesome.
He is a legend, man. He's a legend. He was especially good in that movie because that wasn't a comedic performance. That was just a dramatic.
There was funny moments, but he crushed it. He was such a good serious actor. He was just a good actor, you know. And
people think of him for the comedy movies, the Mrs. Doubtfire, Mork and Mindy, and just a million other things that he was in. But he was a great actor.
Even like more, Mrs. Doubtfire and Patch Adams and Jack, all those movies were like, or Hook, were funny, but they all had emotional elements to it. Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire had like a very, very strong undertone, and then
you watch Mrs. Doubtfire again, and our kids have gotten into a lot, like those courtroom scenes and like that whole concept of like not seeing your kids, and it was actually, I was surprised how much they focused on that.
Yeah. And last thing, how the hell was Minnie Driver not a bigger star?
I know. What was she in though? She was in something not that long ago, and I thought, I'm like, well, she hasn't really aged that bad. And I mean, when you think about Good Will Hunting, I mean, it's 25 years ago, 27 years ago, maybe. 95. Okay, so 30 years ago. Yeah.
She is like so great in this movie. Yeah. She's beautiful. She's hilarious. And she's like literally would have every person watching this film fall in love with her. Because she is just like how she just carries herself, and the writing for her is amazing. But I'm like, wow, you can't take your eyes off her. Heather and I were watching it last night. She's like, she is incredible in this movie.
Yep.
So,
all right, yeah, you've remotivated me to throw that on again this afternoon and tonight when I get a chance. So I'm very much looking forward to this Rewatchables
me too.
taping. Like, as soon as we found out that they were coming, I mean, again, we're big fans of them. It's weird to think that we're going to go see a live taping of a podcast, except that the place is freaking sold out. We have standing room only seats, and there's going to be a ton of people that love this sort of thing too. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you. We knew it was only a matter of time before they came to Boston because they travel all over the place, and it's finally. And they have there's a whole Rewatchables film festival in Boston this weekend, which is going to be incredible. And if I lived anywhere closer with less things going on, I would poke into the different films that they're going to have at the film festival, and Bill and Priscillo and all those other guys are going to be talking about after they air. It's going to be awesome.
25 years, we've been fans of his for over 25 years, and it's our first time ever seeing him live, which would be awesome. You know what I mean? So 25 years in the making.
I would freaking love to like take a picture with that guy or something like that. It's not going to be that way, but I do think back to us going to see Adam Carolla. Yep. Adam Carolla was like one of the first podcasters that I followed. Maybe you followed him a little bit less, but he did a live show. Where was that? Was that the House of Blues? It was somewhere around there.
We did. We had seats. We had good seats for that too.
We had good seats, but like we got a chance to shake his hand and take a picture
Yeah,
with him.
we did.
Which I still have. I would love to like have a picture with Bill Simmons, but
Absolutely.
I don't think that that's in the cards for the way this whole program's going to work. But
yeah,
so I'm looking forward to that, and maybe we can debrief on that on a future pod.
Absolutely.
But the last thing is, believe it or not, it's the end of March, but summer movies are not that far away. I think that the season's going to, in my opinion, kick off in early May, and I don't know how much we'll be able to get to it on the next podcast because we're probably going to watch so many things between now and then. I figured now we can spend 10 minutes talking about our top 5 favorite, biggest anticipated movies of the summer. In my eyes, it kicks off on May 2nd when Thunderbolts comes out, which is a Marvel movie. It's actually not in my top 5, but like in my eyes, that's the start of the season. Mm-hmm. So are you up for talking about our top 5 most anticipated movies for the summer?
Let's go. Ready to go.
So what I figured we do is just go backwards from our top 5 down to our number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever there's overlap, whoever says it first will be the time that we talk about it. And honestly, we're not going to spend that much time on it. In the past, this would have been a whole episode of the podcast, but for now, we'll just make it a 10-minute thing. For me, this is the only Marvel movie that makes it on my list, but it's the Fantastic Four movie. I don't know if this is on your list at all. It's not.
Nope.
So do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course I know what you're talking about. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's
probably
6 or 7, but yeah.
Marvel has kind of fallen out over the past couple of years. It's been less of appointment type movies for me and you. But like this one looks like a little bit different. It reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy in the sense that it just looks different. Like when I see the preview, to me, it looks out of place from what they've done. And movies that are out of place, I look as opportunities to bring me back into that world. Because I know this one takes place in the past. Just everything looks different. So I don't even know how they're going to tie it into the overall thing. So maybe this is a good re-entry point into some Marvel stuff before we get into some of the Avengers movies in the years to come. So I am looking forward to it. Whether or not I see it at the movie theater, I don't know.
I'm really hoping this year I can see more in the movie theater. Really, really want to. Whether together or even by myself, just going solo is more. I want to see some of the, especially the movies on this list, I want to see in the movie theater. So, hey, Pedro got a great cast. I think it's funny. This is the third, iteration of Fantastic Four in the last 20 years. It hasn't seemed to click.
But it's the first one since Marvel has owned Fantastic.
Yes, correct.
And it's part of like the MCU, so there have been other versions of it, but like this is the first time where it's tied into the overall universe.
Correct. Awesome. So yeah, no, that's not on my list, but I am looking forward to that. But what is on my list at my number 5 is the movie you did mention. It is actually Thunderbolts. And from
interesting,
and just from the cast of it just seems so weird. From what I've been reading about it, it's just a very different kind of Marvel movie.
It's like the Misfits of Marvel movies.
Yeah, and all these characters are kind of expendable and stuff. You know what I mean? Like any of them could not make it, and hopefully the Marvel does kind of go that route, because I think that's been such a complaint, is the stakes in Marvel movies are never really there, and stuff. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in it. Just from what I've been seeing, I've heard good things, and I've gotten excited about it. So
it was between this one and the Fantastic Four one for me. Like I want to have like one Marvel movie on there. So like Thunderbolts maybe would have been 6 or 7 for me, but for whatever reason, I just the Fantastic Four looked more appealing to me. And plus, you're a big Florence Pugh guy, so I mean,
great, love Florence. She's probably the only one that she's not going anywhere. Her and Bucky are probably safe, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So
love it. Okay, go to number 4 for me.
Yep.
I wonder if this will even make your list because it's not a traditional summer movie, but it's Happy Gilmore 2.
Awesome. No, it's not on my list, but good thinking by you. I'm pumped that it is on the list.
I think it's coming out in July on Netflix. I think we might have texted about the preview. I don't know, dude. Like, I loved Happy Gilmore. It was like a very, I don't want to say important movie, but like one of those movies that I will remember and quote, and it was just a big part of my childhood growing up. And it's one of those things that still has like cultural relevance for whatever reason. So anyways, I thought the trailer looked decent enough. It is going to be hard to fill the role that Chubbs played in the first one. You know, like Chubbs was such a big part of the first movie. Yeah, freaking Chubbs, man.
I laugh just because of the lines. Because it's probably, for me and you, no joke, and because of like you golf way more than I do, but like anytime you're on a golf course, like you can't help but like quote. It's the most quotable movie of the last 30 years for me.
You can't not think about it when you're golfing. I love the line where it's like he's like telling Happy, he's like, I got kicked off the tour, and Happy's like, is it because you're black? He's like, no, because an alligator bit my damn hand off, and it's like,
and Happy's like, oh my god, or whatever. That was just peak Adam Sandler, and the also thing that like made that movie what it is and stand the test of time was it had like the best villain of the last 30 years, with Shooter McGavin. Was, I mean, you can't help but make a big putt, a 30-foot putt, and just go, shooter, you know what I mean, with the pistols, you know?
Great Twitter account. I have not been on Twitter in a long time, but he always had a great follow with Shooter McGavin. So, which I don't even know if it's who runs that account or whatever, but
he's in it though. Ben Stiller's in it, you know.
Everyone's in it. Everyone's in it except for Chubbs. You know, I think even Lee Trevino has a cameo in it. So I will look forward to it. Hopefully they do a nice job. When you have these 20, 30 year later sequels, they can go sideways. Some are decent. Hopefully this one's decent. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Great. I can't wait for that. So my number 4 is a movie called, I don't know if you even know about this, called Friendship. Have you heard about it?
I love that you're going to have a list that's like so different from mine. No.
But you may have heard, this is the Paul Rudd, Tim Robinson movie. So have you heard about this at all?
No.
People are saying this is the funniest movie out there since like the Judd Apatow era.
Old school.
Yeah, like this is,
I actually did hear about this. So it's called Friendship.
It's called Friendship with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. And Paul Rudd plays a weatherman, and Tim Robinson is a guy that lives in his neighborhood. He's married, and then they become friends. But like Tim Robinson kind of becomes obsessed with him, and how it looks very creepy almost. Like the trailer is like some funny moments, but Tim Robinson is just so funny and Paul Rudd's great. So this is one where it's like R-rated comedies are back. Like let's go. I'm hoping it lives up to the hype and is really that funny.
We had a great run of R-rated comedies.
Yes.
It's longer ago than I probably realize when I think of that period of time, but like those are some great ones. So I welcome that back.
Yeah.
I freaking love Paul Rudd too.
Awesome.
Okay. So next one for me, in my opinion, well, this might not be the blockbuster of the summer, but it's definitely like one of the bigger movies of the summer, and it's the Mission Impossible movie. Like, I'm a big Mission Impossible guy, man. I'm not like the biggest Tom Cruise guy, but I do like those spy type movies. I always thought these movies are shot well. They have really intricate action scenes and stunts, and they're always showing how like Tom Cruise jumped out of a plane and does all this weird stuff. And this is supposed to be the end of the series, and I've seen every one of them. I've loved all the Mission Impossibles going back to the second one. Did not like the first one, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing this one in theaters. I think I actually might try to go see it in the movie theaters.
You're gonna be shocked.
What?
This is my number 1.
That's your number 1?
I cannot wait for this movie.
I would have never thought.
The last mission, I am so in on Tom Cruise in the last 2.5 years. I've never done your 180 on Chuck Klosterman is the equivalent of my 180 on Tom Cruise. This guy is insane. Like, I cannot wait for this movie. I was so blown away by the first part 1 of this one that came out a couple of years ago. This is absolutely one I'm going to be seeing in the theater. There's we'll go. No, we're going to see this movie. It's coming out in May. I cannot wait for this movie. This is an action summer blockbuster that needs to be seen. Tom Cruise saved movies a couple of years ago, and he's back this summer. I can't wait. These movies are great. Awesome formula. I cannot wait for it. So,
love it.
My number 1 movie.
Ferguson? Is she in this one? She died, right?
She died. Hopefully
she died,
but maybe she didn't. But from what I read, she did die, and I don't know how you come back from that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great cast, great movie. Like, Mission Impossible's been a thing for a long time, and I'm looking forward to seeing it too. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that's your number one. Sorry to steal your thunder.
No,
on
I
number
too
one.
don't. I knew it was going to be on the list, but we're going to have another one. And my next one is cheating. So my next one is not a summer movie, and it's not a summer block, but because there's only so many movies coming up. But there's a movie coming out later this year. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie with Leonardo DiCaprio being the lead in it. It's called One Battle After Another. The plot is kind of being really held to its chest. There's some footage that was leaked this week, but not like an official trailer yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you got Paul Thomas Anderson, you got Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie. It's gonna be a must see for me.
So my hype meter is not up there yet because I just saw a clip of it the other day. Because like you said, they haven't released a trailer yet, so I'll check that out when the time comes. Leo's one of those guys. Now, when Leo comes in and has a movie that come out, I think he was last in Flower Moon movie.
Yeah. A couple years ago, yeah.
I freaking love that movie.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the podcast. So I'm up for whatever he does. It hadn't even crossed my mind as a movie that, again, you said is cheating because of when it comes out, but I definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, it's just it's probably a movie that's going to get a lot of award buzz. We'll see if it gets there, but ever since Boogie Nights, Paul Thomas Anderson just kind of does a great job. So I'm looking forward to him. He's married to Maya Rudolph. That's his wife. Paul Thomas Anderson.
I love Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, she's
great. No, I did not know that.
So anyway, that's on my list. So
it reminds me of that name, Paul Thomas Anderson. Like, you've ever heard like PDA, right? People like
of course,
yeah. So we always used to when someone would do that in college, we would call them Paul Dimitri Anderson.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that. That's funny.
Like someone's having a little PDA moment. We call him, Paul Dimitri Anderson. And so like every time you say Paul Thomas Anderson, like I think it's...
That's funny. That's great.
His brother, Paul Dimitri Anderson, or his cousin.
His brother. Same first and last name. The parents just changed the middle name.
Or maybe it's his cousin. Or alter ego. But Paul Dimitri Anderson.
That's great. So I knew that wasn't going to be on your list, but wanted to throw that out there. So
I'm on number 2 now, and then you have number 2 left.
I have number 2 left. I have one left. I think you have 2 left.
And I have 2. Okay. So I don't know if this will be on your list at all. But number 2 for me, and it was kind of between this and Mission Impossible, was Superman. I am looking forward to Superman. Is this on your list at all?
It's the only last one left. I can't wait for this movie.
So that'd be funny to talk about. My number 1 is, I thought the trailer was awesome. It had a touch of the old music, like James Gunn. I probably want this to be good more than it actually will be good. Like I want... Superman's a hard movie to make because Superman is invincible and it's hard to have any real stakes with him. But I'm hoping that James Gunn has a way to make it that's like a good storytelling that has like an emotional response.
It's getting I guess there was some early screeners and people can't talk about it, but the buzz is starting to build. People are saying it's not what you expect. And it's getting very positive reviews. So when I think of summer movies, I think of blockbusters. I think of big, Independence Day or Armageddon or like big movies that you have to see at a movie theater. So this was my number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
All for the same reasons you mentioned. We've been huge James Gunn fan ever since Guardians. This is what DC is completely. He's now in charge. So he's the boss. So
this is the first movie in the new DC universe.
Yep.
Yeah,
it is. So we'll see what ends up happening, but as far as like a summer blockbuster goes, this is one I'm very excited to and will be seeing in theaters as well.
I agree. Okay. So then that leaves just my number 1.
And it's your number 1.
And you have probably no idea what it is, but I just want to make sure I do the title. So it's the ballerina movie from John Wick universe.
Of course.
So I freaking love John Wick movies. They're some of my favorite movies. He's one of my favorite actors, one of my favorite franchises. I thought the trailer when I saw this, I don't know if you've seen the trailer. I thought it was freaking awesome. And what's her name is in it?
Anna de Armas.
De Armas, yeah. It's been a bunch of stuff. Like she's like the main cast, and it's like an alternate part of the universe. It's not a John Wick movie. It's just set in the John Wick universe. Although Keanu Reeves is in it, and the trailer looks awesome. And give me more of that universe in a summer movie. And believe it or not, that's the one I'm looking forward to most. It probably won't be as big of a blockbuster. Probably won't perform as well as the other ones do, given that it's not a mainline John Wick movie. But in terms of movies that I'm looking forward to, this is the one I'm looking forward to most.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I hope it gets good reviews. They're putting money into it. The John Wick universe, they want to kind of build out. Great concept. She's kind of been, kind of having a wave there for the last 5 years. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that one too. It was probably would be in my top 10, but not in my top 5.
Yep. So fired about that. So, all right, man. Sounds like we have some movies to see over the next few months. And
I know.
Some are not that far away.
Because after the Oscar season, it was like jumping right into TV shows, and that's been taking up so much time. Then Last of Us is coming back in 2 weeks. Some other things too.
Andor's coming back in
Andor's
like 3
coming
or
back.
4
I
weeks.
still want to watch Daredevil. So there's like a lot to watch right now.
Love it. All right, that's probably a good place to end, though. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and that's probably actually one of my more favorite podcasts that we recorded. Just like a ton of great stuff to talk about.
I could do this for hours, so love it.
Love it, dude. All right, so we will enjoy the Rewatchables tomorrow. Have a report for that next time, and we'll do it again in a few weeks.
All right, buddy.
All right, pal. Talk soon.